Hey patrons, Millennium here, and I just want to welcome you to my first annual Q&A session. A lot of you were asking some fantastic questions, and so what I want to do is I kind of want to dive into it. And first things first, I'm going to go to the original post and read some of the comments on the post and then address those first. And then I also got some private messages from you guys that I'll also address. So Joey Guzman asked me, what canvas size do I use? Now, canvas sizes can vary depending on the project. Typically, and I pulled it up on my iPad here, typically what I'll do, let me get this going, is I'll work in 3300 by 4400 pixels for just like a basic illustration that I just want to have fun with. Otherwise, a lot of the requests I've been getting recently have been for 300 DPI, typically 11 by 17. That's what I do for a lot of the autograph signings. And then for the chalkline jackets, believe it or not, they've managed to make everything work with 200 DPI. So I hope that helps you. That's just a basic answer, because projects are different for every situation. So. But most times I try to work in 300 DPI just to keep everything looking clean and easy to print. Doug Halliday wanted to know what my general process was with working with companies that use my artwork. And once again, the process varies per company. So with Chalkline, for example, what I do is I turn over the assets, aka the drawings, and they pass it along to a designer that puts everything together. With Chalkline, I am on a commission deal. So what that means is I get paid off of every jacket they sell. And it works out to be really good for me. So I've been very happy with my relationship with them. On the other hand, there's also companies where they just pay me straight up for my work. You'll see today, I've got a shirt coming out with Roosevelt's, which I know you're a big fan of, and they just paid me straight up, and that's also another way to get compensated for your work. As far as dealing with each of these companies, it's more casual than you might imagine. I think the most professionally, I'm not gonna say professionally, but the most paperwork I've had to deal with any company has been with WWE for obvious reasons. I had to sign a big, contract stating that they had full rights, ownership of the artwork, that they could replicate it, blah, blah, blah. But most times, all of my conversations with these companies have been with art directors, and they've been very casual, very straightforward, and it's been a really, really great experience. Just always, always, always try to maintain as much of a semblance of professionalism as you can. Once you get to know the person and you get to see what their cadence is like or what their sense of humor is like, then you can really start to open up and have more of a friendship. As far as keeping these relationships going, I try to do a follow-up every couple months in case the well's running dry a little bit and I'm not doing any work with them, just to maintain that line of communication without being overly annoying. I hope that helps. All right, so Mike Pope here wants to know, how long have I been drawing professionally? Well, there are two different worlds that I've been a part of professionally. The first world I've been a part of up until last year with COVID has been the caricature world. I started a caricature business, entertainment agency out here in Seattle that was thriving and doing fantastic for a decade until COVID hit, and all of our live events, retail opportunities, they all dried up. I had been doing caricatures professionally up until that point for 21 years, meaning I was able to make a living doing it. That's my definition of professionally doing art. Last year, I decided to dive in headfirst into freelance. Now, prior to that, I just dabbled. I just did it every now and then for some extra change, extra money. But this past year, I did it full time. And that has been great so far. But my first, I want to say, professional level freelance opportunity came 3 years ago with Topps. So freelance for 3 years and then professionally drawing caricatures for now 22 years. Do I work directly with WWE? The answer is no. I actually work with WWE licenses, which, in my opinion, are far better than being stuck in the WWE bubble. When you're working for WWE directly, maybe as a freelancer, the opportunities are good, but if you're working for them as an employee, you're just working for them. That's all you can do. That's all you're going to do, and this is how much money you're going to make. Plain and simple. And your opportunity for expression might be limited a little bit. Working with licensees, I have the opportunity to work on really fun, amazing projects that really challenge me in many different ways. And I'm not beholden to being an employee. I can name my rates, I can name my prices, and once the work is done, I can move on to the next project. So working with licensees like Chalkline, Tops, 500 Level, Roosevelt's, has really afforded me the opportunity to do some really, really fun stuff. People ask me all the time, why hasn't WWE hired you? There's two different answers to that question. One is they're probably not looking for my style of art on a consistent basis. And two, I haven't really put it out there that I want to be hired by them. They've been great to work with when I've worked with them on a freelance basis, but I really enjoy the freedom of being able to work on several different types of projects. So thank you. That's a great question, Mike. Same with you, Doug. Same with you, Joey. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to dive into my private messages, and I had a couple really good questions. One was my pin settings. This one is from... Bear with me for a second here. Oscar Nunez. Oscar's trying to get into caricature a little bit. He's having trouble finding a good pen to help him on his path to doing good caricatures. So I do have a few recommendations. When you're in Procreate, there are some native brushes that I have found to be wonderful. The dry ink brush is fantastic because it's got a nice tooth to it. It simulates working with a natural, almost like a soft leaded pencil. And you can get really lovely dagger strokes. So that would be one suggestion, is a dry ink brush. The other brush I'd recommend is, let me open it up. Another great brush that I've really enjoyed has just been the Studio brush. The Studio brush, or Studio pen I should say, is very clean. It leaves a nice dagger stroke. I'm going to pull out my iPad right now so you can see. Let me pull this out here. You can get some really nice line work with it. And as far as the actual settings are concerned, I'd be happy to put up a screen cap on the Patreon so you guys can all review it and see how I have everything lined up. Another question I got was from Wesley. So he's been having issues finding the ramen brush in Retro Supply Co. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you the exact set I bought. Now keep in mind, it's a little pricey, but it comes with a ton of stuff. I got the Color Lab set with Retro Supply Co. It comes with tons of screen print, Zipatone brushes, as well as texture brushes and inking brushes. It includes the ramen ink brush, which I use predominantly for a lot of my work. If you don't want to blow all your money on that, what I would recommend is going with the standard pen set on Retro Supply Co. I just looked it up. It does not have the ramen brush, but it's got a few inking brushes that are extremely similar, almost 85% to 90% the ramen brush. I think you'll have a lot of fun with it. You're not going to spend a ton of money, and you'll find lots of success working with it. So as far as the questions are concerned, that's pretty much the brunt of it. What I promise I will do is I will put up some brush settings in the next couple of days here. And as far as things to look forward to, there will be another process video next week where you guys can watch me draw an illustration from beginning to end. For silver patrons, of course, it's going to include the sketch and the inking. For gold level patrons, it's going to include the whole shebang. I'll also upload the PSD for you guys to have for your own personal use. You're more than welcome to dissect it, go through it, and check out all the bells and whistles. And hopefully it'll help up your game as an illustrator. As always, if any of you have any questions about anything throughout the months, just drop me a line. I'll get back to you within a couple days. In the meanwhile, thank you so much for your questions. They've been amazing. If you need me to elaborate on anything, feel free to message me directly on Patreon. I'd be happy to help you out. And I hope you guys all have a great rest of your day. Thanks.